Hello and welcome to Constantly Summer. Today I am going to be discussing this beautiful bottle right here. So this is the Urban Decay All-Nighter Waterproof Long Wear Liquid Foundation. We have to say its proper long technical term, but everyone just calls it the Urban Decay All-Nighter. You can get it at Sephora, Ulta, online, pretty much everywhere that there's Urban Decay. It is pretty popular. So, that being said, I am just going to go over some quick pros and cons that I had with this foundation. And if my face looks slightly funny to you, half of my face has the foundation on, the other half does not. And I will show you at the end of the video. I'm going to show you how the foundation applies as well as the coverage. So if you're wondering, does something look off about her face? That is probably what it is. So let's get into it. So pros with this bad boy right here, the coverage is phenomenal. I definitely share it out with a beauty blender and I still get amazing coverage, don't have to apply a lot of foundation. Since there is such high pigmentation, I don't have to cake it on, so I never get cake face using it. It's also matte. For me, that is a big pro. I prefer matte foundations because I can have more texture in my skin. And I think too, I have oily combo skin, and it's just my personal preference for matte. Dewy foundations, if anything, make me look more oily if I wear them throughout the day. So matte foundations are definitely my favorite. Also, the packaging is so pretty. Packaging is definitely a pro for me with this. So while it's also beautiful and shiny and metallic and whatnot, what's cool is that how they have this little cross thing right here. It's a cool little like decal, but also from a function standpoint, you can see the foundation rise up, so you know how much foundation you have left and when you're running out. So that is, it looks cool, but it also has a function as well. This is a pump for how much you're paying for it. To be honest, I think all foundation should be pumps because everything else I just make a mess out of. And even pumps can get messy. But this is a pump. Since I did mention how expensive it was, that's the one con. I think it's around $45. It's Urban Decay, so it's not like, you know, that I feel like what's happening now is it's not drugstore, but it's not stupid expensive. It's in that, like, I feel like middle range still sounds like $45 is still a lot of money. But so it is expensive, but not like crazy stupid expensive. But that is a con. What other pros about this guy? Talked about the coverage, which is amazing. Talked about how it's matte. It applies very easily. Oh, another thing I like about it is that it does have a, I'm using the air quotes, natural. Because we all know that foundation, a high coverage foundation, is never going to look actually natural on us. But this does give a nice, unnaturally natural finish, where obviously I have foundation on, but it still looks very nice and flawless. You're not like, oh god, what happened? Why do you look like a pancake? You don't get that with this. I'm sure if you layered it like gobs and gobs and gobs on top of yourself, I'm sure that you would get that. But the way I use it doesn't happen. Now let's get into some of the pros. No, wait, those were the pros. Let's get into some of the cons about this. The first con I want to talk about, very much dependent on skin tone. So while I like this because it is matte and it is good for my oily skin, it lasts all day for me. Maybe I'll get a little oil here or here that'll peek through by the end of the day, but this bad boy stays matte. I know that that's a pro, but the con aspect of this is that if you have dry skin, I don't think this is going to be the best for you, because I'll notice if I have a dry patch sometimes, it can cling to dry patches and it's a drying foundation. So a lot of the times I will use a mattifying primer. With this, I highly recommend not to use a mattifying primer unless you have very, very oily skin, because I used, which one did I use? I used the Rimmel Stay Matte, which is like a pretty good drugstore mattifying primer. And if you use a mattifying primer as well as this mattifies so well on its own. With the primer, it was too mattifying, dried my skin out too much. So I guess the con is really only specifically if you have very dry skin. This may not be the best foundation for you because it can be drying. For me though, who has like oily combo skin, that's a pro, so it's kind of a pro-con. The true major con for me out of this though is the shades. They do offer a very wide range selection, so that seems like a good thing because they offer like neutral, pinky, and I think also like yellow undertones to try and kind of reach everyone. But this oxidizes like nobody's business. And while I expect that with drugstore foundations or whatnot, if I'm paying $45 for this and I go into Sephora and she's like, oh, this is your match, and she tests it and it's like, oh yeah, this is great, and I'm like, oh, awesome. And then I take it home and then I use it a couple times and I'm like, this oxidizes literally like 2 shades. I don't know if you can, you can kind of see. Come on, autofocus. So you can kind of tell, sorry it's not showing it as well as I would like to, but in the center it matches my skin tone, and then you look at the outer ring and the outer ring is darker than my hand. The inner ring as well, it's still wet, so still matches my skin. The outer ring though, you can tell it's pulling a lot more orange and it's darker significantly. Now, even the camera, to be honest, doesn't really show how much it oxidizes. It oxidizes more than even shown on the camera. But it also pulls like an orangey tint, which drugstore foundations, I'm okay that they do that. Not paying a lot of money. For $45 though, I understand something having a pink undertone. I have pink in my face. But there's a difference between like a pink undertone in your skin versus that oxidizing pink orange tone, because that is not attractive for like anyone. It's just not. Plus two, I got the shade that's 1.5, so this is supposed to be for someone who is fair. Hello, fair. So yeah, great foundation, but that's a pretty big con for me. Now I am nitpicking because I'm kind of OCD about color matching, and I'll be like, it doesn't match, and I'll be going crazy, and I'll look at my roommate and be like, can you tell like a difference? And she's like, no. I'm like, but I know there's a difference, and she's like, no. So I think many of you out there can relate to me being like OCD twitchy about color matching. But so I don't know if you can even tell on camera. On camera, I think it looks like it matches. But, you know, things on camera do not always appear the same in real life. So with that being said, those are the pros, the cons, and my overall thoughts on it are, I like this a lot. For a day-to-day foundation, not something I necessarily reach to as much because it is just a little bit drying. Like even when I can feel it on this side of my face, when it dries it almost has a, I don't want to say tighten, but it almost tightens because it mattifies so well. So I think this is great for going out, it doesn't have SPF in it, so I think it would be good for events. I think it's good for special occasions, you know, it's good for a variety of things. From a comfortable perspective, I don't know if I would wear it every day though. Then again, I'm also a bit more of a natural, I always feel so funny saying natural because I don't wear natural makeup, but I like a bit more of a light feeling skin. There we go, that's the word. I like a lighter feeling skin. But overall, I love it for coverage, and if I'm going for like a super glam look. Product placement. They're not paying me for the 2 people who are watching this, but placing the product here. But I do definitely recommend the Urban Decay All Nighter Foundation. And it looks really good. I'm gonna have a zoom up where you can see me apply it, and then you can also see how it cancels all the redness out. It applies a gorgeous base. I do apply it with a damp beauty blender, so it does sheer it out, but even shearing it out, lots and lots of high coverage. So yep, those are my thoughts on it, and let's go ahead and get into the demo, and bye. Okay, here, see in the face. Maybe a little bit less closer. Perfect. Okay, here we go. I think this is a good angle. Okay, so I've got my damp beauty blender. This foundation you are supposed to shake, so we're gonna shake it. I honestly don't even use one pump. I use like half a pump. So then all I do is take a little dot and then I just pounce it out, you know, regular how you would apply. But you know what, I'm gonna do half of my face and then I'll leave the other half naked so you can see a comparison. And I do apply this very sheerly, so I will always apply a sheer base and then go back in and add more coverage to the spots I think need it. I'm not a big super heavy foundation kind of person. I like it to cover everything and give me a nice flawless finish to tie everything together, but I definitely like a more natural feel with foundation. And I know that that's very much a personal preference. I know everyone likes something a little bit different. I know it has to be like really attractive watching me hit my face with a beauty blender over and over and over again. I'm trying to remind myself though to you know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to remind myself to only do half of my face. So minus the big pimple, just ignore that. It's scabby, so there isn't really much I can do about it to cover it up. That was probably too much information, but putting product, to be honest, on dried skin makes it look worse. Most of you probably know that out there. If you have a pimple that you haven't popped or doesn't have a scab on it, put as much crap on top of it as you want to cover it up and blend it away. But if you have dried skin, whether it's from acne or you just have dry skin or the weather or whatnot, the more makeup you put on top of it, the drier it's probably going to get, and it's also going to become more noticeable. So sometimes you just gotta live with the skin struggle. Okay, so I'm going to come straight on and lean it in so that you can see. So this half of my face has all the makeup, and then this half of my face doesn't have any makeup on it. As you can see, it does a very good job covering everything. It blends out. It gives a really nice clean base. Let me turn my head. And I didn't put it on my eyelid. For whatever that's worth to you, I didn't put it on my eyelid. But as you can tell, it covers all of the redness in my face. It covers all of my minor acne imperfections and whatnot. And yeah. So this is just a quick little, I'm zooming back out. So this was just a quick little review on this foundation. I hope this was helpful. I know it's been out for a while, but for anyone still looking for maybe some tips on it or anyone else's opinion, I hope this helped you, and mwah, have a good day. Goodbye.